Okay, folks, this is Noah Kulwin, host, producer, creator of the, half of the Blowback podcast. I've had him on the show before. He's been on the show a bunch, actually. He's visiting LA, so I thought, nice hat, by the way.
Thank you.
He's visiting LA, so I thought, why not come over? The gain is a little too hot. Okay, I'll lower it a little bit. He's visiting LA, so I thought, why not come over to my house and, we'll cover the news and shoot the shit.
Yeah.
What are you wearing? Joyce Manor?
Yeah.
With
Blowback
Dragon
Best
Ball
Podcast.
Z?
What up, Noah?
I don't get the reference.
They're a band. And,
Oh, okay. I don't listen to music. Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I don't know.
But I was looking at my suitcase and I thought, like, this felt appropriate.
Yeah, it's pretty good. How you been liking LA so far?
It's great, honestly. I love driving. So
Really?
Yeah, I really like driving.
It's weird.
What? No, it's not. It's really fun.
I guess when you're
And
stuck.
I live in New York. Yeah, I have like a really big rental car. The kind of thing I would never get in New York too. So I'm living it up. I'm having a good time.
Okay, that's
So,
good.
Yeah, it's been good. And gonna
What'd
go
you
to
get?
the beach later. I'd like a big Toyota, like a huge SUV. I think a 4Runner.
Increased volume, my friend. Oh, chat was lying. That's interesting. Of course, chat was lying. When has chat ever been fucking honest about anything? Anyway, this is good. This is where we're gonna keep it at. What the fuck is Joyce Manor?
They're just a band.
What kind of
good
music?
band. Like rock.
Okay. Bro, why is Noah Kulwin in your house? LMAO. What do you mean? Why not, dude? Okay. Well, right now we are currently talking about the bipartisan $1 trillion infrastructure bill that the Senate just passed.
Got it.
Are you familiar with that at all?
Yes.
Have you been looking into it? Okay, well, that's what we're shooting the shit on. You already missed all of the Italiophobia that I engaged in with respect to Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
And
Hate to see it.
yeah, just a fucking legend. I mean, I'm wearing my hat in honor of a good man.
Did you watch the homosexual videos with the stream yet?
All
and
of
everything?
it. All of it. We did all the homosexual videos. We covered his non-apology apology. I mean, it was fucking terrible. it was so bad. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's a petty, awful man.
Oh yeah, 100%. And all it took was, what was that dude's name? Like one of the fucking, like, what was it, like a legislator, like a state legislator or something? It was just, or a council person that literally turned around and was like, yeah, no, this guy's kind of a douchebag. And then the entire fucking, Jenga or dominoes or whatever the fuck, it just all fell apart.
Yeah.
Joyce Manor performed for Bernie. Okay, well, we're gonna do, and then Letitia Adams came in, yes, who I do like a lot. I don't know, is there
Tish James. She's
Tish James.
the Attorney General.
Yeah, the Attorney General.
I mean, I think that part of a lot of this is obviously still kind of unfolding, and I don't, I'm not like a New York politics reporter, but as a New York City resident, I will say, and a reader of the news, I do think that the interesting thing is that once the independent investigation under Tish James started, a lot of Cuomo's big political, lobbying supporters had stopped giving money. Like you're like, Chad or whomever's watching can go look this up, and you can see there were news items about it. And I think that even before the report was dropped, there was a sense that this was really bad for him, and he was gonna have to I think that there was there's a degree to which there was an expectation that was sort of kind of muted, and now it's you can sort of see how a lot of the people who had sort of been, I think, waiting just for the exact details are now ready to see.
They're all
so
demons.
now we'll see what Kathy Hochul New York City has its first governor in forever who's from not Westchester or South.
Oh really? Is she good?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
she can't be too good if she was fucking.
I was gonna say it's this is a real good cui bono. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably nobody good.
She can't be too good if she's a woman. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. Jennifer Rubin jumped ship.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even notice. So the spaghetti and meatballs, wasn't enough.
She
You can't even bring up one actual dimension of the man's life without accidentally doing some like anti-Italian
Yeah, oh,
discrimination.
100%.
Because it's like literally, oh yeah, it was a photo where they're just all eating spaghetti and meatballs, and that's what she says.
Yeah. That's true. She was all over Cuomo. She was leading the pack of Cuomo-sexuals. And now she was like excited that there's a woman governor for the first time ever. Like that's what she was posting about this morning.
Damn, that is what I always think about when I think about Jennifer Rubin. Principled, uncompromising feminism.
Yeah. No, for sure. There's some info on her. Okay, well I'm not gonna look at this up, but and look, the real obviously all jokes aside, when I said like she's a woman, what I actually mean is that she's in the Cuomo administration. There's no shot she's gonna be fucking good.
Yeah.
In the 2012 election, Hochul's district was renumbered.
She lost to Chris Collins. That's wow.
She was endorsed by the NRA. Oh, she looked.
Chris Collins is one of the goons who got knocked out with Trump.
Oh, okay. She looked for ways to reduce the federal budget deficit and expressed support for reducing Medicaid spending. Well, she's in the Cuomo administration for a reason. That's what Cuomo did as well.
And the undocumented stuff too, that she opposed on driver's license for undocumented because it's there's such a, and that was during the peak of, that was during the Bush administration, so there's a degree to which it's it's she's somebody who Phil Oakes, the singer, had a phrase, a liberal in in good times, they're 10 degrees to the left of center, and in bad times 10 degrees to the right. I'm butchering the quote, but it's something to that effect. When it's right wing time, she's gonna go.
You did a great job with that quote.
I'm really it's a great song. I mean, they'll go. The actual quote is great.
Don't worry, no music on this. All right, let's get back to this. Let's watch. So we're watching. You can give commentary. I'll pause it if you want.
Yeah.
The Senate has officially passed the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Obviously, there's also the reconciliation one that we will get to and talk about the details in a little bit. But this is the $1 trillion infrastructure bill that had Republican support on top of that. 19 Republicans voted yay, as you can see. 69. Nice.
Bill, which at several points throughout this months-long process seemed like it was about to fall apart. You'll remember several months ago, the first of these bipartisan overtures was led by Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia. When those efforts petered out, more other Republican and Democratic senators came together to put together this infrastructure package. And the important thing here is this is the stuff that focuses on roads, tunnels, bridges, your more traditional hard infrastructure. That was always the first track of this process. Now that has passed the Senate. Now, though, they're moving on to the next phase of it, which is the human infrastructure phase. And this is when things go back to being a little bit less of the rare bipartisanship that we were seeing here. They revert back to the partisan norms on this one.
And what is next for that? I mean, everyone is focusing on that human infrastructure because that's sort of, what's been a pretty marked.
It's so sad that in the United States of America, the only way that you can actually, and I was just looking at this. I don't know if you've ever seen this, Senator Kramer defending why he voted yay today, but was going to vote yes on this bipartisan infrastructure bill. It's so sad that the main motivators for doing good by the American people, doing right by the American people, as a government is supposed to do, has to be some external factor. We got to fucking own China. China will be super jealous that we have roads that aren't in a state of disrepair, or it has to be packaged as infrastructure. You can't just be we need desperately to, I don't know, expand fucking Medicare.
Well, I think it's important because to think about this not as a new development, because for example, in the 1950s, when they built the interstate system, it was part of, Eisenhower's Highway Interstate Defense Act. And the, always wrapped up in our country, it was about, the idea was, part of the idea was that you could use the interstate system to basically move missiles around more quickly or whatever. So, it was always, our country has, in the 20th century, we have always justified the ability to drive on a road that won't swallow you at one point. That has always been framed as, well, we have to fill it because otherwise our beautiful troops won't be able to shoot the missiles or something. That has always been the logic.
Which is ironic because we can't even have sick ass military military parades because our roads are in a fucking state of disrepair.
Yeah, exactly. That is the reason.
Yeah.
That is the only good reason why we shouldn't have like a gigantic military parade.
Yeah. We can't do it. We can't do it. We can't flex our fucking superior military power for all the fucking, hogs to jerk off to, because if a tank were to roll down our streets, it would be done. Donezo. The streets would be.
I mean, that's why nobody's invaded us or picked us off yet.
Yeah.
Our roads are too shitty.
You know
It's
what?
not worth it.
Yeah, it's not our strategic positioning surrounded by like Mexico and Canada that are completely neutered and allies, and I would even say reliant on the United States, and very far away from everyone else, with like 2 oceans separating us from like any potential enemies. It's the roads that are shitty.
Yeah, like we didn't, it wasn't like the centuries of slave labor that gave us an edge, or geographic isolation, endless natural resources. It's that like our roads were so repulsive that nobody wants to fuck with us.
Otherwise, the pedophile warlords that we gave bags of cash to in Afghanistan would have literally came here just to destroy our free speech.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No question.
So yeah, the real deterrence measure is how shitty our roads are. All right, anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Key development of the Biden administration is how the country is now redefining what infrastructure actually is. When you say there's a different battle ahead, what do you mean?
It's a different battle ahead because when you talk about redefining
roads.
Yeah.
infrastructure, there were several weeks here where the very word was under debate, and this is kind of how it fell out. Was one track of this process was going to
Okay, I'm sorry, but this guest is actually R-worded. He's being sarcastic, you fucking weirdo. Like, what do you mean?
go through the things that everyone thinks about when they think about infrastructure. And then the other step of this process was going to be bolstering the human side of this. Many of the things that COVID exposed, things like the need for a stronger child care system, universal pre-K, many of the kinds of tax code changes that were talked about during the presidential campaign, and certainly now after, the idea that corporations need to pay more than zero in taxes each year, taxing the wealthy among us to bolster these kinds of social programs that Democrats want to put together in this bill. And right now we're at the start of that reconciliation process. Immediately after moving off of the bipartisan bill, the Senate pivoted and voted to open up the debate process on the reconciliation phase. Right now they're in 50 hours of debate, and then they're going to move to what they call here a vote-a-rama, effectively voting on a series of amendments that are more messaging than they are hard policy. Some of the things that they're going to be voting on you're going to see later on in things like attack ads. But this is all part of the process. Senators can vote to speed it up if they would like to, but they're squarely in the reconciliation phase of this, a $3.5 trillion effort, Morgan.
And we know just how important that messaging is, especially heading now into the midterm.
So this is the budget resolution agreement framework. Like, if they pass the reconciliation, and it's actually $3.5 trillion on top of the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package, this is going to greatly improve the Democratic Party's chances of like finally winning a fucking full-blown midterm election on merits alone. There's still plenty of room for improvement. Obviously, they're far from perfect, not even anywhere near perfect, as a matter of fact. But like, you know, there's a lot of good provisions in there. There's a lot of good expenditures in there that will greatly improve people's lives. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think, to me, you know, I'm always, I'm interested in a couple of different things. The first thing I'm interested in ultimately is, you know, the money that's being spent. To whom is it going? Like, you know, who is, like, you know, like, ultimately, who will benefit and how? I think one of the things that's been very interesting to see has been how a lot of the aid that has been bookmarked for people as a result of the pandemic on an emergency basis has not made it to the people that actually need it. And so there's, you know, like, a lot of money that's set aside, and part of that's because of the breakdown between federal and state systems and so on. So to me, you know, I'm like, I have, like, with the recent experience of the pandemic, a certain amount of skepticism about their ability, like, to implement it. And then, you know, as to, like, the midterm chances, I think that, like, it's, you know, I don't think that Mitch McConnell has in his life ever put up a vote, let something go to a vote that he didn't think would ultimately, at least somewhat, redound to the Republicans' benefit. So I kind of want to see how this plays out, or what just what develops, because so far it's like we haven't quite seen I'm kind of curious, I guess, to see ultimately what the debate evolves into as like it comes down to the wire with the vote, because we did have some pretty dramatic votes in the Trump era. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers our brave deceased Senator John McCain when he went and
he went no.
That was, maybe the Republicans will try something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's just me bullshitting, but like, truthfully, I retain an air. I'm skeptical of everything until it's like it's signed and there's money in the right people's wallets.
So you're saying Kirsten Sinema, Joe Manchin, Maggie Hassan, a couple other fucking freaks that have everything to gain from being like a spoiler. Kirsten Sinema had that moment already, by the way. Look at you. Misogynistic pig here for getting a fucking excellent girl boss moment when she was like, no thank you on the $15 minimum wage. Fuck the poors.
Well, she's I think there's a real, like, I mean, to me it seems very straightforward that she's like auditioning for life after the public eye. Like, she just wants to cash in and not be a public figure. Like, that's the only way I can understand whatever it is that like she's doing, because you're right about it being like a moment in the sun, and now it's time for her to get in line, so to speak, because everybody knows that we have to not let our bridges fall apart or something.
She's gonna restore the glory of the Lurshite movement. She's that's what she's gonna do. She was a real American KKK type crusty anarchist, dumpster diving, all that shit. And then she became like the worst girl boss centrist.
Yeah.
She's gonna inevitably move towards fascism, while still maintaining that like I'm actually the real progressive attitude. All right, let's keep going.
Terms, Ali Vitali, can I just say
Why does your guest look like he listens to Pile and drinks White Claws? It's a roast.
I mean, there's no lie. Like,
do you listen to Pile?
I do listen to Pile. I don't really drink White Claws though.
Okay. What do you drink?
I mean, lately, like, a lot of seltzer.
Do you want a yerba mate? You want a yerba mate?
Yeah.
What
Those
kind?
are good. I don't know, whichever you have.
Orange ginger is pretty good. Hold on, I'll bring one.
All right.
So good.
Yeah,
Thank you for following this. Just from beginning to end, sister, you are unmatched. I watch in all of you, Ali Vitali. Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Ali Vitali.
Oh, one of Jeffrey Epstein's longtime accusers is now suing Britain's Prince Andrew. The lawyers for Virginia Giuffre filed the complaint in New York City, claiming she was trafficked to Andrew and abused by him when she was 17 years old.
Oh, shit.
Giuffre said in a statement, quote, I am holding Prince Andrew accountable for what he did.
We're going to do this in a second. Let's stay on the infrastructure bill for a little bit. Here's a firm line in the sand from the Progressive Caucus. Our caucus has been clear. Congress must invest in infrastructure that takes on the climate crisis and meets the needs of working families. CPC members won't support a bipartisan bill without a bold reconciliation bill to advance our priorities. Sincerely, Pramila Jayapal, Katie Porter, Ilhan Omar, signed underneath. They're basically saying we want a fat budget reconciliation.
I mean, I think that this is like this is where I think it's like, there's a degree to which the what the MSM in my experience kind of fails to leave out is that, like, what I look at this and I see is like a very successful opening negotiating tactic. Like, we saw it with Cori Bush on the eviction moratorium. It's like, the very basic idea that, like, if you create a pressure from one direction, you force people to accommodate that pressure. And in this case, it's like, I don't think that, like, Katie Porter, Pramila Jayapal, or Ilhan Omar have, like, such radical expectations of Chuck Schumer co-signing their agenda. But, like, they are going, like, we're going to see the exact same thing. I mean, look, this is not a prediction, but like my guess is the thing that we just saw play out, where it's like everybody, like, you know, says anonymously to Politico, like, ha 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 ha, the moderates win again, and it's like, well, like, I mean, sure, but you already won and you have all the power. So if like things, you know, if people are able to negotiate something better around the edges, then like, okay. So, you know, I think it's pretty, like, it makes sense to me as like an opening negotiating tactic to, like, you know, aside from the matter of the principle, to just like immediately say that whatever they're going to do is unacceptable. Because evidently, if the Republicans are, if somebody, if like they're going to let this go to a vote, then yeah.
Couldn't this backfire? Is there maybe enough GOP vote in the House, so it won't matter? No, I don't think the House GOP is ever going to fucking, dude. The House of Representatives, like, the House of Representatives is what the senators have tailored their fucking mania off of. Like, they've been cranks for many years. Like, senators used to be supposedly like the adults in the room. You know what I mean? Like, it's the greatest deliberative body. And they would look down upon the representatives because some of those representatives are real fucking freaks. Okay. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene, dude. Like, what do you? That's my mom. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene in the fucking House of Representatives. That's all you need to know. So no shot do Republicans getting whipped by McCarthy are going to turn around and actually give the Democrats a dub here. It would be very strategic. It would be tactical of them to just like allow Democrats to get this dub on the bipartisan bill in an effort to destroy the yeah, I do have company, Mom. And the noise gate is off, so
I do think that there is a, like, one thing that I'm kind of curious about, I guess, is like, you know, what the, like, I kind of understand like what the competing tensions are right now on the Democratic side of the aisle in terms of, like, you know, the Biden people don't want to get in trouble for anything, and the Progressive Caucus people seem to be like, we just want to get the minimum amount of concessions that these people will listen to us on. But like, I don't quite understand what the balance of power is on the Republican side. Is it just to thwart everything as it was in the Obama thing? Is there like a longer game? Like, I don't know, a longer term game? I don't know.
Are they in fucking shambles? Like, why would they do this? Why would they actually end up defending and vote for this? Here is Marsha Blackburn talking about it. Complaining that Democrats weren't interested in improving the infrastructure bill, particularly moving $1 billion from Amtrak slush fund and using it to build the wall on the southern border.
The Democrats aren't interested in improving the bill. I had one amendment that would have called for taking $1 billion from Amtrak's slush fund and using it to build the wall on the southern border. But see, they're not interested in addressing the needs. But you know,
I mean, they're just posturing at this point.
Larry Kudlow is so checked out. He's like that's like he's got a 1,000-yard stare going. It's pretty wild.
Well, it's because he can't get his beverages. That's why. He's like, come on, I need to let's speed this segment up so I can go, bring up my sippy cup real quick. The reconciliation bill is very, very popular. That has never deterred Republicans from doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, I was going to say this.
That does not mean anything.
They do not care about popular opinion.
Yeah. Invest Now, new poll with Invest Now USA. Voters strongly support key components of the Democrats' reconciliation package. Who gives a fuck? Democrats don't even give a fuck about popular provisions, chat. Like, are you new here? You know what I mean? Wait, who just raided me? Oh, Hikaru did. Hey, thank you, GM Hikaru, for the raid. I hope you had a good stream. We're talking about the budget reconciliation infrastructure package and also the current bipartisan infrastructure spending bill that just passed in the Senate. So hope you had a good stream. It's a grandmaster, dude. Yeah. Biden on Cuomo. Oh Jesus. Oh, Biden went live earlier, right? I fucking missed it. We'll look at that.
Yeah.
We'll do that in a second, yeah. For the record, Amtrak did an assessment a few years back and quoted the cost of keeping tracks in repair was upwards of $2 trillion alone. $1 billion is nothing. They need that money if you want Amtrak to connect to New England.
The Northeast, like
the Northeast.
I think it's a good point, which is about like in general, which is that like I'm not like I haven't like paid attention to the numbers and I don't know it, but it's also like there's no like I would have to have taken some really wild pills this morning to be ready to believe that anything that like this Congress could agree to would be like anything resembling sufficient to the challenge or whatever.
Yeah, of course not.
So like I wasn't sure if if you already had that disclaimer earlier on the stream before I came in.
Yeah, no, everything I say, if I'm even remotely positive about a particular bill that's slated to pass in Congress, it's only because the bar is planted so fucking firmly underneath the ground that like clearing it is going to give us the bare minimum so that we can continue surviving, not necessarily thriving. And of course, not even survival in that situation for most people. It's just like it's necessary. It's literally necessary. That's why I feel like it's virtually that's why I feel like there's so many Republicans that are defending their vote on this. Like, how the fuck do you get 19 Republicans to vote on anything?
I mean, so this is like, I think that some of it is like, I mean, look, it's interesting, right? Because I think that like our like national politics has gotten like, it's become like this very weird and performance thing, but like the way that you used to do this, for what it's worth, before like the idea of government spending was so anathema, was you would build bridges to nowhere. You would give people, you would do what government pork is the ultimate phrase, and Republicans were just as skilled at doing it as Democrats. Like it wasn't like that favoritism was like it was part of it, like patronage to some extent, I guess. And so to me, part of what I wonder is like, to what extent like is that playing a motivation? Is there some appropriations thing that we're like, I don't like because I'm just as puzzled as you are. Like I don't understand what logic the Republicans have to do anything to let the Democrats have any win. Because that's been their strategy successfully for many, many years.
Yeah.
And it just like keeps the status quo, which is what they want.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like no other reason. I feel like there's no other reason to do this other than like it's literally a fucking necessity. Because its popularity doesn't mean shit. Long-term care is somewhat support to strongly support at least somewhat supportive at 81%. That's fucking nuts.
It's like, I mean, it's also just like really crazy to me how stuff like it's also just like, I mean, I really don't think that like policy should be made based on, I think tying like the way that like policy should be made to such like popularity stuff is not always like such a good categorical thing. But I think that one of the things that you can clearly see in this is that like is maybe like, is there going to be some attempt after seeing how popular people got, or at least could have gotten, had they, if they done all the pandemic stimulus stuff, had they talked about it a bit differently, maybe they're seeing now, it's like, all right, if we can own some of this, we can get some of that too, and people won't hate us as much.
I mean, yeah, even the ones who like rallied against the pandemic support ended up running as though they were in support of it the entire time. Like, there were plenty of Republicans that talked about how much money they were able to bring into their state, despite the fact that they literally opposed it and did not even vote for it. They voted against it. So, I mean, the populism does work. I mean, it is successful. Trump showed that.
Yeah.
Even if you say you're interested in it, it's enough for people to be like, yeah, why the fuck not? So, yeah. Is the chewing really bad, chat? I don't give a fuck right now, okay? There's no other way to have a guest on. I mean, if I lower the gain, then you won't be able to hear him. So, sorry. Don't do it. You just went... They'll
I'm just tempted, I know. No, now I'm just doing it to mess with them.
No, they're gonna fucking lose their shit, I promise.
Yeah, duh.
Okay. The worst part about this, I'm gonna hit up David Dayen.
I was gonna say he's the person who I listened to his interview on Chapo, and it made me think a lot about like how like aid hasn't been getting it out all the way, and he's like the person I was thinking of to talk about.
I've had him on before. I've had him on before Chapo. Remember that. Okay, David Dayen has been a friend of this show for a lot longer than fucking those fakes over at Chapo. Okay, but having said that, yeah, he's really good at keeping track of this sort of stuff. The American Prospect has done like incredible work with respect to like the executive powers and what the Biden administration could do without a single fucking vote cast in Congress. You know what I mean? So anyway. Okay, so here we'll look at the top line here on the memorandum, we'll look at the top line here for the 2022 budget resolution. Top lines: families, climate, infrastructure and jobs, and healthcare. Right? This is the people's infrastructure for the People's Republic of the United States of America, because we are becoming a communist nation. When this budget reconciliation passes, it's over. Like, it's the people's revolution. It has like stipulations in it that like there has to be one. Yeah, 7 months. Like there will be there's stipulation in there that like secretly creates councils, workers' councils, and slowly but surely America is overtaken by the labor power, and a people's revolution happens, and then landlords are going to jail, all that sort of stuff. There's gulags in there, that easy. So that's what's going on here. I'm going to bring this up real quick. So on the family side, the Major Families Plan program proposed by Biden are funded in the Help and Finance instructions. It establishes universal pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds and a new child care benefit for working families, makes community college tuition free for 2 years, which is literally like an Obama era fucking proposal. That's like Obama supposedly did that.
6 months ago.
I don't know. I guess he didn't do that, but he was supposedly doing it, or he had done that. Extends the largest tax cuts for families with children ever. Increase the Pell Grant award.
Oh yeah, they fucking love the earned income tax credit.
Yeah. Increases the Pell Grant awards and makes investments in HBCUs, MSIs, HSIs, TCUs, and ANN HIs. I don't know what the fuck those are, but historic black community.
Historically black colleges and universities.
Yeah,
and, like,
or
trade
communities, colleges.
Like, the thing that is just, though, it's interesting is that it's like, the majority of like black students in America are enrolled in like everyone else, like in public universities and public institutions of higher education. And so to me, it's always like, it's the same thing with like tax cuts. And like the Pell Grant is like, it's an aid award that, is need based, but it's also not like it's not just refunding these services that have gotten declining state aid or federal aid before. It's just like more bandages.
Yeah. Climate puts U.S. on track to meet President Biden's 80% electricity and 50% economy-wide carbon reductions through the agriculture, banking, ENR, EPW, finance, commerce, HSGAC, and Indian Affairs instructions. Joe Biden didn't just wag his finger yesterday at the IPCC report and said, strong words like, hey, climate change, stop it, cut it out, Jack. We're taking the initiative. This part is probably the weakest, right? I mean,
it's just so embarrassing when you consider the scope of the problem, I guess, because to me, it's like a bunch of this stuff is sort of like de rigueur, like, yeah, we should be doing this. Like electrifying the federal vehicle fleet. How many federal vehicles need to be like gas-powered vehicles? It's like, no, like they're not, like it's sort of like basic stuff. That is also just matching what is already happening in the private sector in terms of the scope of electric car production that all of the major car manufacturers want to do.
Yeah. It creates a new clean electricity payment program, provides clean energy manufacturing, transportation tax incentives and grants, imposes new polluter fees. It's Elon Musk gonna fucking pop off, dude. He's just gonna pop the fuck off with this one. He's just going to the fucking moon. Imposes new polluter fees for methane and carbon imports. Invest in climate smart agriculture and forest management investments for farmers in rural communities. Like the
hold on, sorry. Invests in climate smart agriculture and foreign management investments. That's, what, I just love the poetry of this shit, because so they're investing in forest management investments is what they're saying. It's just like, it's so like, that's like, I mean, look, like, it's just proof that, like, in Congress, they do the same thing that, like, you did in college or people do in high school in terms of, like, stretching the margins, because that is just trying to fill the fucking page as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Because you can't understand, like, it's not...
Well, it's the Democratic Party's, like, main thing always is, like, we're going to start thinking about rebuilding communities. We're going to start thinking long and hard about what kind of initiatives we can use to start rebuilding the process and start the process of offering restitution to these impoverished communities. It's like, well, why don't you stop thinking and start doing? You know what I mean? That's kind of what your job is, motherfucker.
Well, and it's also like, you know, investing in all this stuff. It's like, you know, electrifying the federal vehicle fleet or something. It's like part of what all that ultimately means also too is that it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, or like providing new consumer rebates for home electrification. It's like, great, that's more money to go to Tesla for filling out, you know, it's because it's like it's supporting these existing economies that like are these, you know, bad private sector structures of actually really critical and important things like electrifying and gridifying everything or whatever. Like it just sucks.
Creates coastal and ocean resiliency programs, makes drought, wildfire, and interior department investments. So this is the funniest part because like they're saying this is for the climate proposal in the infrastructure bill. These are absolute necessities. Part of the reason why these are absolute necessities is unironically because of climate change and and the kind of devastation that climate change has brought upon our lands. You're in the Pacific Northwest right now. Shit's on fire. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All the goddamn time. Wildfire seasons are growing. Half the country is underwater, and then the other half of the country is on fire. Sometimes like at the same time. So this is like to basically try to survive with the worst consequences of man-made climate change. So it's an absolute necessity at this point. There is no way to get around this.
And it's also part of like, you know, if we're thinking about like, you know, how do we reorganize our economy and society in a basic way, like, and this is, you know, where I give the Progressive Caucus real credit, is that like oh yeah, like the project of like helping to fix, you know, like the problem of inequality in our society is likely going to also be involved as part of the same processes that we're doing to accommodate like this hotter, shittier world. And so, you know, there's a kind of like, I think that like even just trying to make the conversation about something to the effect of like, we are interested in making like a you know, like making climate like a necessary part of this. Like, I do think it's more than rhetoric in a base level, because it's about like the very essence of what this, you know, what this policy is supposed to be about, which is like, you know, well, if we're doing infrastructure even in our budget and all of that, then like we've got to start like making all this part of the same conversation, because otherwise it will just be an item that continually gets excluded. It'll be the debate topic that nobody wants to ask about, or when they ask about it, it'll be in like, you know, like all these like it'll be in ways that gives everybody an out.
Yeah. As far as infrastructure and job goes, invest in game-changing infrastructure projects and jobs programs not included in the BIF through the banking, commerce, EPW, finance, help, HSGAC, judiciary, Indian affairs, small business and veterans affairs instructions. Historic levels of investments are coming into public housing. I don't know what the fuck that means personally, but I don't believe that that's a real thing. If anything, they're going to do what like the NDP is suggesting in Canada, for example, which is like, you know, home ownership credits, so that pre-existing homeowners, like people that already have homes, can like easily afford to become, you know, larger landlords, basically take advantage of things like that, rather than actual fucking permanent permanent housing for the homeless population, and any sort of like price restrictions or price regulations, or even fucking buildings that are public housing that the government builds. Your take is basically everything is a lie or exaggeration. I mean, no matter what happens, like I'm still positive. I'm still positive. I think this is good.
Well, it's just like you shouldn't identify it as something that it's not, right? Like this is like it's like a step forward in the sense that like this isn't saying that we should cut these things, but it's also like the political reality in which this is being presented is not even to say that like they want to do all this stuff. It's part of it is because like there's a kind of like theater in this that like they're trying to negotiate. Like that's why they have language. Like, I mean, this sentence that I can't stop looking at is the one that says expands access to capital and markets for small businesses. Like that doesn't mean anything for anyone. Like that's like, what's the point of that? Like, there's a degree to which all of this is about, like, it's going to be until, like, the thing is signed, like, it's about this sort of, like, like, sort of jockeying for position or whatever. And, like, yes, there's lots of lies and exaggerations, because literally when you look at this stuff, it's like, if it's not a lie or an exaggeration, it's, like, something that you read on a shampoo bottle. It doesn't mean anything.
I mean, we still don't know what the full details are of all this stuff. It's just a top line. There's, like, more, there's more information that's, like, a little bit further expanded. But even then, this is not the final version of the bill by any means. This is just an outline. Okay, this is just an outline of what may happen. So remember that it might completely fall apart if you have, even if you have fucking what do you call it? Like a couple dissenters or deserters. This entire process falls apart. So. It's going to be about messaging too, and I'm genuinely terrified that the Democrats are going to do a terrible job trying to message this bill, because they're not even fucking motivated for it, for the most part. So, the first ever civilian climate corps, a lot of this stuff is literally, I don't want to say it, because I feel like that's a scary thing to say, but a lot of this stuff is like Green New Deal shit in it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's meant to be like a carrot to it. Like, I think that it's supposed to be this, yeah, like, I think to me that's the, like, that's the hope, is that, like, they're sort of, like, saying, like, we're doing this stuff, but, to me, again, it's just, like, this is not, like, yes, this is a top-line summary and everything, but it's just such a, like, I think that, like, put it this way, like, this is part of what, like, like elected officials that you at least reasonably like on some of this stuff are supposed to do, right? Which is, be an indicator of, like, is this enough or not? And I think that, like, if Ilhan Omar and Katie Porter, and Katie Porter is somebody who I think is very deliberate about the fights that she picks with congressional leadership. I think even a more moderate person than myself would say that. I think it's because they're saying this isn't going to do it. And, if they're saying that it's not going to do it, I also think that, like, if you're a centrist, let's say, or you're somebody that's not, like, like, doesn't buy into all the same, like, woo-woo shit that maybe I do, or perhaps Hasan does, what I would say is that even if somebody like Katie Porter is saying, oh, I don't think that, like, this is good enough, it's perhaps because they think that this will not be enough to help you in the midterms. And that's something that should be considered. So I do think that, like, there's, like, it's part of what I mean about, like, this prediction stuff cutting both ways and being careful about that part of it, because it is, like, you can't, like, it's like they're all trying to mind game each other about what is the best, most progressive outcome and what is the most electable thing, and da-da-da-da-da, and everybody wants the absolute high ground in all of it. So, just go with at least what's on the paper.
Why do they never use objective numbers? Increase funding by X by Y is just bullshit buzzwords at a historic level. It doesn't matter. This is just a fucking top line summary, dude. That's what I'm trying to say. We're not at that point yet. There's no dollar value. For the most part, there's, like, only estimates of what kind of dollar values that will be assigned. There's going to be a congressional budget office, very conservative congressional budget office estimation that will tell you, like, how much, how much is going to increase the deficit. All this other stuff.
I mean, and this is, part of what I meant earlier when I was talking about, like, pork, right? Like, the reason we didn't have it before is because, like, you had these, like, crazy budget hostage negotiation scenarios or whatever. And, maybe that's how this will play out again or whatever. But it does seem like, to me, that, like, part of what they're sort of figuring out now is, like, all right, maybe they were able to buy off people because the environment's more fractured or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, there's a couple different, like, things that are not fully described in the top line, but Senate reconciliation package includes up to $332 billion for House Ed priorities. What is that?
Housed
priorities?
I think it's like a housing campaign thing.
Yeah. Keep calling Congress to ensure these investments prioritized with greatest need through the rental assistance, public housing, and the housing trust fund. So part of the problem is that, like, as David Dayen also talked about on Chapo and has written about extensively on the American Prospect, it's like we don't have an infrastructure to even deliver payments to the individuals that need it the most.
But you know who absolutely will get paid and will absolutely get the money?
Landlords.
Yeah, and the contract, or the contractors who are paid to administer this stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it's, there's, like, the machine, like, the stuff doesn't have to be delivered, it doesn't have to work, it doesn't have to have any impact, but it's like, for a minimal amount to leak through, you have to pay this insane toll, which is, I view as just effectively like a kickback. It's a racket.
Yeah. Creation and preservation of affordable housing by making historic management. We're talked about that. Getting back on it though. Invest in workforce development and job training programs to connect workers to good paying jobs. Provides green cards for millions of immigrant workers and families. Funds smart technology for safe and efficient borders. This is actually terrifying. Okay, so for trade, travel, and migration. So what this is, and I know exactly. I like some fucking drunk dumbass that used to work at, is it Booz Allen Hamilton? No, I don't know. It might have been Booz Allen. Some fucking dumbass engineer dude who's like now a crypto guy was drunk as fuck at this like NFT party I went to, and he basically told me what the outline proposal was called the digital wall. This was established under no, it wasn't Murat. Murat works at Boeing. Basically what this is, which is called the digital wall, which was established under Donald Trump, and like that's precisely what the Democrats are going to be working with, is having nonstop drones circling the U.S. border anytime there's and then pinging Customs and Border Patrol anytime there's movement on the border, so they can just like go in and fucking arrest the migrants with ease. So that's what they're working on. That's what this is, for the record. I just want to let you know, and that's where the money is going. No, they're not going to drop Predator missiles. This is the on the back end. That's what this is going to be. Smart technology for safe, efficient borders for trade, travel, and migration is the digital wall, originally established under the Trump administration as a contract, and that will continue under Joe Biden and whoever the next fucking administration is afterwards. So, hold on. No missiles yet, boys. Largest ever one-time investment in Native American infrastructure projects, rehabilitates aging Veterans Administration buildings and hospitals, new economic development investments to revitalize communities and transform regions for new innovation jobs, invest in research and development, and strengthens U.S. manufacturing supply chains. Like, these are all key things. Like, this is a necessity.
I mean, it's a key thing, but it's it's like the devil's in the details, because every single one of these bullet points, from largest ever one-time investment down to the bottom of like this section, it's like, the details could ultimately be that all of those things functionally just become handouts to bribe people into signing on to the bill. And so there's like so to me, like, that's part of why it's like, I am curious ultimately when they start breaking out and getting into the details of the negotiation. For example, when they say investing in R&D and strengthening, manufacturing supply chains, like, does that mean that are they going to engage? Are they going to reopen like old manufacturing centers? Are they going to develop domestic supply chains? Like, is that actually it? Or is it going to be like, putting money into existing departments that are already supposed to be doing that, but, not doing it?
Even then though, it's like, even then it's kind of a necessity.
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum.
And honestly, at this point, like, people will get mad at me for saying this, but like, just fucking be like, this is good for the American people, and also like, China's kicking our ass, dude. China's doing so well with the $2 trillion they spend yearly on their own fucking domestic infrastructure projects. How are we gonna compete with China and Russia and all these other fucking countries that are going to be leading renewable energy? Maybe not Russia, but leading the United States in the world as like renewable energy manufacturers and the things that you need to have sustainable renewable energy projects.
Well, also, like, we realize that if we're going to be in a great power, if like people even want to gesture at a real, like, even if we're not actually going to be in it, because I don't think that's how capital works anymore, but like, we're going to be in a great power competition with China, like we were with the Soviet Union or whatever. It's like, it's probably not a good idea that like our most critical and lucrative manufacturing supply chains, for our highest cap companies, are literally all there. I saw somebody in your chat like mention that it's like they're investing for manufacturing supply chains and like chip exports here, for example, which makes a lot of sense, right, from both a national security perspective, because again, it's like the only scraps that we're allowed to get or whatever just come off that plate, and it's to me, I guess I am curious to see ultimately, in terms of what are the victories that the Progressive Caucus is able to pull out from this stuff. In terms of, let's say, Native American infrastructure projects or VA buildings and hospitals, like, as you were saying, like, those are real material improvements for people.
Expands access to capital and markets for small businesses. Incredible. Love that.
Hey, I'm a small business. You're a small business.
Yeah.
I would love access to capital and markets.
Yeah, totally, dude. But like not through public banks or utilizing like the postal service or anything like that. But you know, I'm sure there'll be like some grants offered to grants for podcasters.
Listen, there are going to be podcaster grants. There are going to be entrepreneur grants. They're going to be like, you know, maybe there'll be Twitch chat grants.
Yeah, we need the Amaranth bill to pass through. Okay. I'm gonna be at the Votorama screaming like we need more funding for Amaranth and myself, of course, obviously, so that you know we can expand our access to capital and markets.
In the Cold War, they funded, you know, cultural production all the time. And look, like, you know, even in global politics today, we see like, you know, shady influencer stuff, and it's all very weird. Yeah. And I'm just saying, everybody has a price, including both the people sitting here.
Exactly. My price is $7 million. That's what I need. That's the kind of expansion I need for the infrastructure projects that I'm going to do on this podcast or on the stream. Okay. Healthcare builds on Democrats' goal for providing universal healthcare to all Americans in the finance. Yeah, dude, that's exactly. Remember how we were talking about like padding the deck with as many fucking stacking the deck with like as many words as possible? Builds on Democrats' goal of providing universal healthcare to Americans in the finance and help instructions. We're building on our goal to provide universal health care.
I mean, like the big wins here, like the dental, vision, and hearing benefit is real, and that has been a long fought battle. But it's also like, you know, this is the thing to remember, right? Is that like Medicare is the easiest program in the world to win things for because it is the universal political constituency of both political parties. Because remember, the biggest thing that determines will somebody vote is just like go up the age scale. It's like so it's, you know, it's like there is a way in which it's like these are really
because the poor's die.
Yeah, and it's all because they use Medicaid, which is why they're creating a new federal health program for Americans in the Medicaid gap rather than just expand Medicaid upward, because they don't actually want to, like, the point of Medicaid existing is so that it can, like, you know, perpetually be something that they can try to abolish, you know, like ending welfare. They can always try to end welfare as they know it. And the same thing with prescription drug costs. I'm very curious, though, about how they threaded the needle of simultaneously reducing drug costs for patients and saving taxpayers hundreds of billions. Because, well, what does that mean? Like, are the pharmaceuticals going to cough up the money? Is that what they're saying? I'd be curious.
They're not going to. No, they're going to do pricing transparency, which is a very different policy than what Trump was claiming he was going to do, if you recall. That's the best part about this, is that, like we pay so much for pharmaceuticals in this country, like sometimes 10x what comparable nations like fucking Canada pay for insulin, right? And it's absolutely preposterous, completely unacceptable, inhumane, dog shit. You see dipshits like Steven Crowder, before he was, like, you know, getting his top surgery and almost fucking dying in the hospital, advocate for why that is the reason, because we have to subsidize pharmaceutical R&D for the rest of the world. That's why Americans have to pay top dollar to get insulin, which is fucking bullshit. But you know, how are we going to do this without implementing a centralized negotiation process that nearly every other fucking country has?
And also one that, like, because, you know, again, we're like, you know, we're Rome, right? We're like the seat of empire. Our currency is like the global world reserve currency. Everybody wants dollars. And it's like, well, you know, I guess to me it's like we have like this like benefit for the wealthy in our country or whatever, but it's also like, you know, we have made this system and internalized that logic so much such that, like, you know, we assume that, like, oh, well, that is the trade-off, when it's like, I mean, look at, you know, like, dare I say, Cuba, for example, where they've developed 2 vaccine candidates, and it's an island with, like, you know, doing it against your Ramada is making me burpy. They're doing it against all odds. You know, they're doing this, like, they're making vaccines that are viable and they can administer it, and they're doing it, you know, while, like, the U.S. has, like, these embargoes in
embargo guy had to bring it back to Cuba.
You know, it's a
wow, blowback season 2, huh? That's cool. Wow,
you might have heard about it.
Yeah, has to sneak in Cuba, dude. Hey, did you see that?
Ooh.
Yeah, there you go. I'm a big advocate for drone striking Cuba immediately and making sure that, you know, making sure the Cubans are free by turning that entire island to glass so we can make a parking lot for Guantanamo Bay. Obviously, that's the only way to do this. And also, I believe that the embargo is good and the blockade is good. And obviously, that's my position, as you guys already know. Noah seems to not agree with that. I don't know why. It would be it would be good if it was just another island nation with plantations and sugar production and casinos specifically for Americans to travel to and Americans to consume the sugar of. So, I'm a patriot. I love Cuba, obviously. That's why I have the Cuban flag. Whatever. Bro, I can't fucking click his link. Slow down, chat. It's literally blowback.show, dude. It's not that hard. So yeah, we got a new federal health program for Americans in the Medicaid gap. Reduce prescription drug costs. We'll see how that happens. Invest in home and community-based services to help seniors, persons with disabilities, and home care workers. It's really interesting. I remember, I do a lot of I told you so's on this broadcast, but I remember talking about how Biden was never going to advocate for the public option. How many times has he brought up the public option since he's been in office? Because remember, he ran.
Well, but this is the thing, though. If you're a centrist, you never have to bring up any promise you made, because your defense will always be that, well, politically it's a no-winner, because that is ultimately like the thing that's like the trump card, right? He's just able to say because he wants to body Trump, as Aaron Rupar says.
Yeah.
After years and years of infrastructure.
I'm soy facing right now. I can't believe he's bodying Trump so hard.
Week. We're on the cusp of an infrastructure decade that I truly believe will transform America. After years is what I believe you, the American people, want. What you've been asking for a long, long time. This bill shows that we can work together. I know a lot of people, some sitting in the audience here, didn't think this could happen.
I literally, personally do not care if virtually every single Republican was at gunpoint pushed out of Congress by the military and put into a military prison. Like every single Republican. And going forward, we had a one-party government and we did whatever the fuck we wanted. I don't give a shit. I don't know why the fuck people act like this is important. Like, bipartisanship is a virtue on its own. Like, and that's why it must be defended, and that's why it must be protected, and that's why it's a good thing. It's like, who gives a fuck, dude? I just want infrastructure spending, okay? I only see the Republicans as a stopgap measure. I see the Democratic Party as a stopgap measure against like true progress from happening. I literally do not care. Actual fascist. Yeah, fascism is when you literally purge the fascists from stopping any sort of fucking help from being delivered to the American public. That's what fascism is. Okay?
This bill is declared dead more often than anyway. That bipartisanship was a thing of the past. From the time I announced my candidacy, about bringing the country together and doing things in a bipartisan way, it was characterized as a relic of an earlier age. As you may well remember, I never believed that, and I still don't.
Forcibly removing elected opposition sounds like fascism. A little bit.
So I want to thank those senators.
It has nothing to do with fascism. It's authoritarianism. How the fuck are you in a political commentator's broadcast all goddamn day and can't comprehend the difference between authoritarian actions and fascism? Fascism is deliberate. It's specific. It's built upon excluding people of a certain identity, certain background. When you talk about like fucking removing Republicans, I'm joking regardless. I'm just trying to tell you how little I give a fuck about bipartisanship. I just care about getting shit done, which is what most Americans care about. But that's not fucking fascism. Shut the fuck up.
We worked so hard to bring this agreement together. I know it wasn't easy. For the Republicans who supported this bill, you showed a lot of courage. And I want to personally thank you for that. And I've called most of you on the phone to do just that. You have, and no doubt you will, disagree with me on many issues. But where we can agree, we should. And here on this bill, we prove that we can still come together to do big things, important things for the American people. For the Democrats who supported this bill, we can be proud of this unprecedented investments that are going to transform the nation.
Man, Republicans are so courageous for fucking voting for a bill that's literally giving them money so they can build roads in their own state so that commerce can fucking flow through their own states. That's what true courage is. Man, if that's the fucking barrier for courage, dude, like we're lost. We're just in a decrepit state, dude. If the barrier for courage is like literally doing the bare minimum so that like your constituents see like a crumb of return on their investment, if you look at tax from that point of view, great, dude. It's great. We're in a really good situation.
And change millions of lives for the better. Work on the next critical piece of my agenda, my Build Back Better plan. Making housing more affordable. It's so unaffordable to so many Americans. Providing clean energy tax cuts, including homeowners, to make energy efficient improvements in their homes. Bringing down the cost of prescription drugs. Making elder care more affordable. And continue to give middle-class families and children a tax break, a tax cut, the one they're receiving now, well-deserved child care and health care that gives them just a little bit of breathing room. This is a plan that invests in the American people in their future.
The middle class and poverty class getting tax cuts or tax breaks right now would only restore the tax cuts that Donald Trump offered them, depending on what the severity is, because all of the other tax cuts, the corporate tax rate and the top marginal tax rate, tax cuts are made permanent, whereas everything underneath, like the top marginal tax rate, are slated to increase over the course of the next 4 years. So that was like a secret, I guess, provision within the 2019 tax cuts that Donald Trump passed, that legislation that passed through. So what most people don't recognize is like the middle class and just the middle class and underneath the middle class, their taxes were slated to increase regardless. Not 2019, 2017, sorry. So all this would do is basically make that permanent while increasing the top marginal tax rate and also the corporate tax rate if they ever get to that, which they probably will not. There will be staunch opposition from the moderates on that issue because, you know, we can't have that. We can't be fucking taxing corporations of the wealthy a little bit more. I mean, that would be devastating.
That would just sort of violate the whole spirit of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
And their success. And it will be paid for by having the largest corporations, including 55 of them, who didn't pay a single penny in federal income tax, and the super wealthy to begin to pay their fair share. I want you to be able to be millionaires and corporations do incredibly well.
Jesus.
But this isn't going to change anything for you. You'll still have your 3 homes. You'll still have whatever you need. And corporations will continue to do well. I have more to say about this.
I wish he was like, what more do you want, motherfucker? You got 3 houses, dude. What do you want?
1.
Like, what more do you want? You want more, dude? Yeah, you're going to get fucking taxed, okay? Shut the fuck up. And I'm going to punish the shit out of you if you decide to fucking hide your assets. Also, we're going to fucking change the way we tax wealth. Or we're going to change the way we tax, like, capital gains, okay? Sick and tired of you motherfuckers taking lines of credit out, okay? No more of that. I wish. And if you remove your, if you hide your assets in you know, the Cayman Islands or wherever the fuck you hide your assets in, then we're going to punish you. I wish that's what we would do. We're beefing up the IRS so they can come after you.
Later as the Senate continues its work. But today, I'm happy to mark this significant milestone on the road toward making what we all know are long overdue, much needed investments in basic, hard infrastructure of this nation. I understand.
Then he moves on to fucking Ron
that
DeSantis.
There are millions of people who decided, adults, who decided not to get vaccinated. And I understand that to badger those folks is not likely to get them to move and get vaccinated. But I also understand that the reason children are
Oh, did it stop?
Yeah.
It'll turn
becoming infected is because in most cases they live in low vaccination rate states and communities, and they're getting it from unvaccinated adults. That's what's happening. And so my plea is that for those who are not vaccinated, think about it. God willing, the FDA is going to be coming out in a reasonable time frame to say this vaccine is totally safe. We've seen millions of doses around the world, 1 billion doses already.
Inshallah.
And we know how it's transmitted.
It's going to be a real shock to the system when people realize that like all these fucking vaccine hesitant motherfuckers are literally not going to move from their positions when the FDA approval inevitably comes. And they're going to say, well, the FDA is corrupt under the Biden administration, and that the only real measure that you could implement, and you should implement, at least at the fucking federal level, is travel restrictions. Okay? You have to have a vaccination passport if you want to do any sort of fucking travel by air, any sort of like state travel. You have to do that. That would unironically immediately boost the number of people that are getting vaccinated. Straight up.
I mean, and the proof of, like, you know, like having it to, like, you know, for job and work and stuff. Like, people already tolerate so many insane actual invasions of their privacy just to fucking pay rent. Like, you know, if you've ever pissed into a cup, you know this. So it's like, for that purpose at least. Don't know what else other people pee in cups for. But the way I would put it is that, like, you know.
Kink shaming.
Yeah.
Canceled.
That's not how I roll, but if you think of it as kink shaming, then that's your issue, but not mine. So, you know, to me, it's like you already have, I guess, this, like, you know, like people like are willing to accept it in a certain context, right? It's because, like, you know, immediately, like, the vaccine and all of it, like, it becomes a culture war issue because it has to, because arguing on, like, the actual, like, you know, merits of the thing or whatever, like, it wouldn't allow for the people who are in politics to have good excuses for why things suck. And so instead, everybody can just endlessly, you know, throw poop at each other.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean, that's like why he's talking about Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis, like, actually got fucking owned by his own state's court system because he tried to tackle, like, the Norwegian cruise liners and say that, like, you know, you can't have a fucking vaccine passport on your cruise ships. That's insane. Like, remember when Remember, Republicans hate big government. They hate the nanny state. Except Ron DeSantis literally was like, no, like, I'm gonna make it so that, like, unvaccinated people can, like, ride your fucking, you know, infection-infested, bacteria ridden dumbass fucking cruise ships and make everybody sick. Like, cruise ships are, like, the best way to just get sick, regardless. Get some fucking tropical ass disease on top of that. Nuts. Yeah, we'll watch the Bill Burr tear into him after this is done.
And one of the things that I find a little disingenuous, when I suggest that people in zones where there is a high risk wear the mask like you all are doing, I'm told that government should get out of the way and not do that. They don't have authority to do that. And I find it interesting that some of the very people who are saying that, who hold government positions, are people who are threatening that if a school teacher asks a student if they've been vaccinated, or if a principal says that everyone in my school should wear a mask, or the school board votes for it, that governor will nullify that. That governor has.
It's so fucking boring, dude.
It's so, like, it's as if he doesn't want, like,
it's
like he doesn't want people to get vaccinated, honestly.
Dude, Donald Trump was so good. He was so good at fucking captivating large audiences, man. He was
well, when he wanted to, because the thing is that then you remember, like, all those times where it's just like he's standing in front of a crowd and it's like, or he's like talking into the camera and, like, he just doesn't care. He's like, this is the most boring thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make you all suffer through it. And I'll just, yeah.
Yeah, he's a sassy. He was a fucking sassy.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude.
He's like a Joan Rivers type.
Yeah,
like,
he's so petty. He's so sassy. God, I miss him.
Same.
Anyway, you are crazy. Let go of the hate. What?
I am crazy, but I'm not letting go of the hate.
Yeah, no, fuck that, dude. It's the only thing that keeps me alive, motherfucker. The hatred I feel. So, Bill Burr had some choice words for Ron DeSantis. I don't know where the fuck how would you not put the actual clip?
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
That is journalistic malpractice, dude. At least
I mean, I guess it's, I think, or like say where the time code is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what the fuck? I just want to hear him shit on Ron DeSantis, dude.
All right,
Does anybody know? Oh, look at that.
Oh.
M HUD. This is Hey Noah.
Hey, M HUD.
I want to know. 1337, that's not true. You guys are literally making that up. You're just trying to spell out like funny things. Wait, I can't even listen to it.
821, I saw somebody say, but I don't know if that's a meme in your chat.
It's a meme.
Okay.
821 is a meme in the chat, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I can't even listen to it. I don't have Spotify. I can't even listen to it. This sucks. I don't even have... Yeah, it's when I said what I said about 9/11.
My sources are telling me... Wait, I want to see that one.
Oh, it's a meme. My sources are telling me that...
Plan
Juan Guaido has declared himself interim governor of New York. Congratulations to Juan Guaido.
He deserves it.
Anyway, okay, we're done. We're done with this. I'm not even gonna fucking go through this. It's on YouTube. All right. Well, if someone links it to me, tell Noah that his True and On episode during the increase in bombing of Gaza was one of my favorite podcasts ever.
Thank you.
Nice.
Happy to spread the misery. But no, seriously, thank you.
I can't listen to it. I don't have the fucking link, or I need to have a Spotify account, and I don't. So I would have to watch it on YouTube. Oh, here it is.
Hey, what's going on? It's Bill Burr. How the fuck do you just sit around staying informed? Look at this shit. Jesus Christ. Like, I looked up, I don't feel like I didn't really do much this week. Nothing that exciting. I got to talk to myself for an hour. You know, what am I going to fucking talk about? Let's see.
Doing real journalism,
yeah,
dude.
Seriously.
When I think
These
of the
piece of shit politicians.
When I think of journalistic integrity, when I think about, you know, who's doing the best work out there, I think New York Post. Angel in the outfield, meet the Dodgers ball girl who went viral after an epic fan tackle, you know?
Hey, listen, did an epic fan tackle.
Hobby Lobby, $1.6 million Gilgamesh tablet snatched by the feds.
Okay, how do you not... Okay, but this is the problem, right? How do you not fit ISIS into that headline? That's like the whole thing, right? That Hobby Lobby accidentally bought, bought tablets from... Yeah, they bought some tabs from ISIS.
Easy.
Yeah, you know, they are unironically... they're unironically fucking... they have more in common with ISIS than than they do with us. With the way they view the world,
that is very much true. That is true. They have a lot more. I mean that that's not an old thing though, right? That like Wahhabists and social conservatives love one another.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, I want to see what Bill Burr.
Someone said Wahhabi Lobby. Okay, let's see. Fucking Bill Burr tearing in the Ron DeSantis. All right, this fucking guy. Sick and tired of it. Let's see.
These piece of shit politicians. He knows that that's what his fan base wants him to do, so that's what the he's gonna do.
Oh, god damn it. They had to do that now this type video. On his podcast, Bill Burr went viral for slamming Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over
DeSantis, whoever this guy is, and they have the most grumpiest looking photo ever. This guy is starting to build his stature in 2024. And he says he disagrees on mask mandate.
I like how the music sounds like it's from the Need for Speed menus.
What a dated reference, dude.
What?
Need for Speed menus?
Is that, yeah, wait.
What is that? The last time you played a video game was in like 2008?
Okay, sorry. I don't play racing games, but I do remember the classics, yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's literally the last racing game I ever played.
Yeah, exactly.
Was like, I think Need for Speed Underground.
Or like Hot Pursuit or Underground. Yeah, Underground, like... I mean, the one I was thinking about the other day, though, when I was like driving, like, you know, around LA, was Burnout. Remember that one?
What is the now?
Really, you drive cars to crash them, and you get points for like how elaborate the crashes
I don't remember that.
It was a good one.
All right, let's keep going. This had nothing in it. Well, Burris rant comes to the Sunshine Stations and all president is fighting COVID-19.
Yeah, was that the whole rant?
Yeah, that was fucking bullshit, dude. That was terrible.
Is that either there's more to it and we're missing it, or but more realistically, people are just like that starved.
Dude, how do you stretch so much?
I mean,
how do you stretch out so much? Play this? What is this?
Looking at Camp Victory.
That's not the most recent. I did go on Jack and Brandon's new podcast, but that is a wild video.
Wow, look at the date. Look at the fucking date, dude. Confirmed. Confirmed, dude. Wow, what an interesting date you chose to be on the podcast. Suspicious.
I mean, I think it's even more interesting that that's the date that, you know, Jack chose to publish the video, but that's
suspicious.
Suspicious.
Yeah, wow. What do you know that we don't know?
I mean, where to fucking begin?
Yeah. Here's the full uncut clip here. There we go.
DeSantis, whoever this guy is, and they have the most grumpiest looking photo ever. This guy is starting to build his stature in 2024. And he says he disagrees on mask mandates. These kids aren't wearing masks. The amount of people who not only don't even own a microscope or even have a pair of scrubs, you know, unless they went to some Halloween party, who are literally questioning doctors. It's just, at this point, it's just hilarious. What do you know?
Bro, you should go on Joe Rogan.
These fucking piece of shit politicians. He knows that that's what his fan base wants him to do, so that's what the fuck he's gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, this is it? That's kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Michael Pillow, Mr. Michael Pillow is melting down right now.
We have the president's son, Eduardo, coming here. Bolsonaro, if I say it right, Bolsonaro. Yeah.
Bolsonaro.
Okay, Bolsonaro. He's going to be coming here to speak in a couple hours. We have the...
Wait, he has Bolsonaro's going to speak at the fucking cyber symposium?
I mean, maybe one of his family members or something, because like the Bolsonaro people are preemptively laying the groundwork to talk about election fraud for when Lula, like, you know, like
wipes.
Because the issue is that, like, you know, I think like what the fear is that like they want to do as much as possible to, like, you know, call into question ahead of time, and like Trump is providing the blueprint, or the Republican Party is, because they're both unpopular people who were only ever in control in the first place because the system was such a failure.
Yeah, the only other problem there is that like Bolsonaro might be able to fucking use military action and probably has the backing of like the West more than Lula does. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think America... I'd be surprised if the United States, our State Department, decided to ensure that there were fair and free elections in Brazil in an effort, you know, and ultimately allow someone who's left of center to be in a position of power in a country like Brazil instead of Jair Bolsonaro.
Yeah. I mean, I do think also there is like a kind of... it's like Bolsonaro is like, because Brazil, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been there. It's a very cool country.
I've never been to Brazil. People always say come to Brazil, and I never go on purpose.
Brazil's it's a cool place, and what I would also say about Brazil being a cool place is that like it's like a very you know, poverty is much more extreme and concentrated there, and so like the like, you know, the upper crust there and their relationship to the rest of society is similarly like kind of crazy and exaggerated. And you know, it really does feel, especially after having been there, like, oh, it makes perfect sense that like their Cretans and our Cretans would hook up.
Yeah. Makes sense. I just I'm not gonna do my fucking shitty Jair Bolsonaro impersonation in front of Noah here. Okay, I'm embarrassed to do it. You guys keep making fun of me, and you say I sound like a cholo, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. It's so bad. All right, let's keep going.
They attacked me. They buried it. You think about that.
They got something they want to show you off stage here.
Okay, I guess we have something off stage. So we're live streaming though. So you want to talk?
Well, I think we're set up for a break, and then maybe we're going to talk a little bit right when we get back there. We're going to go into...
No, we're not going on a break. Put up that movie again. Run the movie. There's no breaks. We're streaming 72 hours live streaming. So around the world, this never stops. You guys can go eat. That's fine. But I ain't eating. I'm staying up here for 7...
Dude, he literally substituted crack for whatever the fuck this is, dude. I swear to God.
He's real. I mean, that's like... I mean, that man is going to... He's on a mission.
I'm not stopping.
Yeah, he's gonna.
How is he alive?
I'm gonna be honest. He looks kind of like John McAfee or whatever to me, and so I do think of him as like maybe this is like McAfee's spirit reincarnating a little bit, because that's what I'm getting. That's what he's channeling to me right now.
You think he's doing some whale fucking? I mean, he is every bit the con man, so that does make sense. I feel like he's more deliberate in his like proto-fascist underlying worldview though than John McAfee ever was. I feel like John McAfee didn't give a shit.
I mean, to me, he's gotten so, and like this is so evidence of it, just like how like the attention that he's gotten, and like it's such a great example of like how this stuff can really just like feed a like. I mean, you can like you can see him working himself up and being afraid. It's like no, do not take that camera off me. Do not let me have any less attention. This show goes on. It's kind of like honestly kind of like King of Comedy or dare I say Joker vibes.
Yeah, he is Joker pilled. He's too much of a God Jesus freak that McAfee never was. That's true.
That's true. Religion does explain a lot of it.
Yeah, he's mainlining religion, dude.
Oh wow,
this is real.
Yeah, that's very real.
Yeah, there's a real photo.
The necklace is great.